Unit 1, Lesson 8, Color Images. All right, today, or in this lesson, we're going to look at how bits can be used to represent the individual pixels of a color image. I'll also explain how digital data is used to approximate real-world analog data. Now, as our warm-up, what I first want you to think about and jot down how many different shades of the color blue can you name? How many do you think there are in total? So go ahead and just jot down in your notebook, pause the video for a minute or two, and jot down some names of the shades of blue. Fantastic. What names did you come up with? Usually people can think of things like navy blue, dark blue, midnight blue, turquoise, baby blue, sky blue, cyan. Okay? There's a lot of them. Here's some more. Azure, indigo, that's from Crayola, turquoise, Prussian, ultramarine, midnight. There's another indigo. These are two different versions of indigo. Cyan, Egyptian, deep sky, Oxford, steel, Persian, baby, cobalt, Air Force, bleu de France, teal, sapphire, Maya, and we also know we have something called Colgan blue. Great job. But is this the limit of all the blues we have? Absolutely not. We came up, and hopefully you came up with many different shades of blue. As we continue today in this lesson, let's keep thinking about whether there is a limit to the number of shades of blue there are in the whole world, and whether a computer can display all of those shades. Today, we're going to see how this relationship between analog and digital plays out in the world of color. You're going to get a chance to play with the pixelation widget, which you played with in the previous lesson for black and white, but this time you will be using it to make your own special color blends or gradients. What I'd like for you to do now is go to code.org and go to Unit 1, Lesson 8. What we're going to do is start at level 2. Okay, the whole introduction that I just did was your level 1. Starting with levels 2 through 6, what I want you to do is work on those. Okay, and so you know what it looks like. It's going to look like this: width, height, bits, and you've got all of this. It's just a way of working through a bunch of different things, learning the colors, how colors are represented. Okay, so read the directions for each activity and go ahead and work through levels 2 through 6. There's really not a lot of questions until the very end. So here I've set it up that in class I will be giving 30 minutes for you all to work. In the lesson here, pause the video and go work for 30 minutes or so. Don't go much past that. Remember, some of these exercises, the idea is not always to necessarily be able to finish every last bit of it, but to get most of it and to understand the concept being displayed. So pause the video and work for 30 minutes or so. All right, you're back. Now, how did it go? I'm hoping it went well and you didn't have any struggles or issues. If you did, please make sure that you write down your questions and ask them, okay? If they're technical, what happened to my computer questions, I may or may not be able to answer those, but if you're asking questions about the widget and things like that, you can certainly ask, and if I don't know exactly what you're talking about, I can go and play with it and then get back with you. All right? All right, go ahead and let's move to levels 7 and 8. In levels 7 and 8, you're going to be trying to match these gradients, okay? Notice that these are all shades of blue. This is a shade of pink, going from pink to sort of orangey to yellow. These are shades of black and white, which is how we get gray. Over here, we've got our purples, pinks, and oranges. So try your best to match the colors using the widget and reproduce the gradient. Again, don't worry about if it doesn't match exactly, and just work on one. You're not expected to necessarily get through all of these. right? This should take about 10 minutes. Go ahead and pause the video and now work for about 10 minutes. Unit 1, Lesson 8 activity, go to level 7 and begin working. All done? Great. So, as we saw in these last 2 lessons, the digital version of images we produce differ from the original analog images. They don't look exactly alike. Analog images change smoothly and continuously. There's a flow. With digital images, we are limited by the number of bits we use. The more bits we use, the closer to the analog version we can get. But even if we use a lot of bits, we can still only represent a finite number of colors, and gradual color changes can only happen discretely. I can go from red to a lighter red to a lighter red, but it can't be a flow. There's going to be a definite line, okay? Because it happens discretely through a finite set of pixels. Now, for our wrap-up, what happens at each level of creating a digital color image? Think about the abstraction. What happens at each level when you're creating a digital color image? Think binary. You can go from the analog to the digital or the digital to the analog. But jot down, there should be about 4 steps. What do you think? Okay, do you have something jotted down? If you don't, pause the video so you can finish. All right, here are the layers of abstraction in color images. First, you have the digital image layer. It displays a digital approximation based on a sampling of an analog image. So this is what we see. The sampling layer, that's where it's actually broken up. When you view a digital picture, if you view a digital photograph, you don't see all the teeny tiny little squares or pixels. Okay, so there's a sampling layer that goes on underneath that. From there, we have a pixel layer. And then from there, it's binary. Every pixel is represented in binary. Now, we can see that a digital image is made up of several layers that work together to represent the analog image. This is an example of abstraction. We don't always look at the details of what's going on in all of these layers, but they are working behind the scenes. Now, what you want to do is watch a video, excuse me, about how this works. In class, I'll click on this little guy and it will bring up the video. For you, what you're going to do is leave this video because the next thing up is just next up in computer science principles is data compression. So what I'd like for you to do now is end the video, and in the Canvas page, click on the link for the YouTube video that explains all of this that's going on behind the scenes of your digital image.